weighing just 170 grams, or about a third of a pound.
Oh my God, that's incredible. It feels like you're floating. It feels like you're floating.
The initial inspiration for light spray came after an employee saw a Halloween video featuring a hot glue gun creating a spider web. Today, the shoe sells for $330 in very limited release drops. Early models have been worn by athletes like Helen O'Berry, who won the Boston Marathon in 2024 wearing the then unreleased light spray shoes. In addition to being faster, On claims its process is more sustainable than conventional shoemaking.
The whole manufacturing process is happening in a way more sustainable way, so we save roughly 75% of carbon emissions in the process itself.
On got its start 15 years ago. Now, almost a third of the 1,100 employees at its headquarters work in research and development. To ramp up production, the company is opening its first ever light spray factory in Zurich, with 4 additional robots.
What we want to be able to do is to bring it from a couple of thousand pairs to millions of pairs.
But to do that, On says its light spray technology will need to be leveraged to create more products, what the company describes as wearables.
And I think it's a way more automated process, so it allows us to produce where the consumer is. This is eventually, a possibility to bring production of the range to countries like the US.
Hi, hon, it's Mom. Don't forget, we're dorm shopping later. Target Circle gets us 20% off, so let's grab it all. My baby's growing up.
When home's far, Target's close. College students get 20% off one store-wide purchase with Target Circle. Subject to terms. Visit target.com/circle for more details.
And I think he gave a very good explanation when he said this. Take a listen.
Ed, on camera, we have a client list.
On the White House lawn.
I've seen the client list.
Yes.
And then yesterday, she's saying there's no client list.
There's no client list. And there was no systematic blackmail. That actually might be the most preposterous line in the document.
The whole thing that this tape shows he didn't kill himself is like a joke. But worse than that, it's a joke that we all get. Like, they're not fooling anybody. So I feel like we're at a dangerous point now.
Yeah, I agree, because the lie is more the lie at this point is not even part of trying to convince any of this is true.
Yes.
The lie is a signal to everybody else involved in the scheme that to the ultimate ends, the United States government will go to protect all of you.
Yes.
And that's the for
Man,
what
is that smart.
purpose?
Can you say that again? Okay,
Yes.
so it's a signal.
The lie is not for you and me. The lie is for those implicated to say, no matter what, we will protect you. And then we have to start asking the question, why? As in, what is the purpose?
He is so right there. The lies are becoming increasingly more audacious. It's almost like they are mocking us. They're laughing at us. I was saying this to my team the other day, that Bibi Netanyahu is now reaching a level of psychopathology where it's almost like he wants to get caught. Do you know what I mean? He's smirking all the time. He's like, who's gonna stop me? He's conducting a genocide in broad daylight. His cabinet members are explicitly stating that their aims are in fact an ethnically cleansing. We have IDF soldiers speaking out about what they're doing, telling the truth about what's happening, just plucking off Palestinian kids. The ICC criminal court issued a warrant for his arrest. And what does he do? He sits across from Donald Trump and he says, I, Bibi Netanyahu, am going to elect you the Nobel Peace Prize. Because I should have say on that topic of who's been peaceful, and I decide that it's you. Yeah, sure, 400,000 Palestinians are missing, as it's been reported, but who cares? I have so much power, somebody stop me. Seriously, did you guys see that clip? It's Bibi Netanyahu is electing Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. He's shameless. This is essentially a mass murderer showing up to the funeral of his victims. That's what we're seeing here. He's like, I did this, but I gotta see the results here. And Trump is just taking it. Not only is Trump just taking it, he's also furiously tweeting out support for Bibi Netanyahu and the trials, because even the Israelis are taking him through the court system due to his corruption. And there's no reason for Trump to say anything about those trials. But he's doing it anyways. Trump is not required by any stretch of an imagination to speak out about those trials happening in Israel, but he's doing it, okay? Jeffrey Epstein is becoming this perfect example about how our reality is just being shaped for us. I feel like we're in a video game. Do you feel like we're in a video game and we're maybe losing? And now, as we're starting to realize this matrix, it's glitching in front of us. And the people who created it are basically saying, ha, nana boo-boo, you can't do anything. They don't care, because what are you going to do? And I want to be clear, the headlines today, yesterday, they have been unequivocal to Trump, right? They have said, your base hates this, okay? MAGA is splitting over this Epstein thing, left, right, and center. All of the publications, literally. Conservative ones, liberal ones, ones in the middle. Here are just some of the headlines making that very clear. Here's CNN. Trump is daring MAGA to oppose him right now. That's what it kind of feels like. It's a dare. Like, are you going to oppose me? I'm Trump. Washington Post, same thing. Immigration, Epstein, Ukraine, Trump's moves roil the MAGA base. This is Al Jazeera. Why is MAGA angry with Trump? And Pam Bondi over the Epstein files. This is the Daily Caller, conservative. Dark forces at play. MAGA revolts over Trump's DOJ's Epstein findings. It's even trending on Truth Social, so we can't miss this, right? Truth Social has their trending topics. That is literally Trump's social media platform. And it's all regarding Epstein. Look at this. Epstein cover-up, Epstein client list, hashtag Epstein. And let's be clear, Trump won this last election decisively because many people on the left came over to the right. Why do they do that? For two reasons. One, because Make America Healthy Again, the MAHA movement, obviously RFK Jr. was significant with that. You know, moms were upset about this, everything that's happening with the CDC, COVID, but also because of the promise of no more wars. Everyone's tired, we have fatigue. Again, I'm gonna throw it to Cigar and Tucker that are discussing that. Take a listen.
The problem is the promise of MAGA is America first. And the contradiction is just too obvious. You can't, you know, if you're Joe Biden and you're, you know, senile and it's being run by a bunch of sinister, shadowy figures in the background and you do something like this, it's like, of course they're doing it. But if you get up and you say, we're going to restore greatness to this country, we're going to do it by putting our own interests first. That's what every country does. That's kind of natural. It's organic. And then you put the interest of a country of 9 million people above your own in a way that's just insulting.
Yes.
People can't deal with that. Like, their brains start to explode, and I think this is blowing up the coalition.
I actually, on our show, our producer went to the Bronx, AOC's district, and interviewed people who were AOC Trump voters, and the number one reason that we got from them was war. It was the promise to bring an end to the war, both in Israel and Gaza and in Ukraine.
So yesterday, as I said, the base looked at Trump and said, what the hell are you doing? Okay. And then Pam Bondi gets up there. She tries to tell us that they don't know if Jeffrey Epstein was working for another country. They don't know. They don't know if he was working for another country. And yet we know, all of us know, that he was working for Israel. But Pam Bondi and the state, they don't know that. But all of us know that. And now the question is, why can't Trump admit that? I want to be clear. Jeffrey Epstein sexually harmed children. Okay? How can you possibly not find the courage to stand up and say the truth about who he was doing that on behalf of? The same country that factually protects American pedophiles if they move to Israel after they commit their crimes against children. We're not stupid. Everyone is waking up to what Israel is. Everyone's waking up to the stranglehold that they have in our politicians, our foreign policy. And now we're going back and we're realizing that it's maybe always been this way. That our policy is essentially, when Israel gets caught with its pants down, our government will still rush to defend them. As was the case with Jonathan Pollard, Trump, we talked about this yesterday, granting this spy clemency. Are you kidding me? Take a listen to Tucker Carlson speaking about that.
I mean, let's take the case of Jonathan Pollard, who is one of the biggest traitors in the history of the United States for passing classified information on to the Israeli government. Prime Minister Netanyahu used to visit our soil and actively campaign and urge our presidents of the United States to pardon Jonathan Pollard for betraying our country to his country.
Do you have any idea what they did with that classified information, those secrets?
Well, I actually have no no idea.
They gave them to the Soviet Union.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And this was in the 80s, during the Cold War.
It was 1985.
It was 85. I remember it well. I lived in Washington. The full focus of the U.S. government was focused, was in opposition to the Soviets. And the Israelis gave a lot of that classified information from the U.S. Navy to the Soviet government in exchange for allowing refuseniks, Jewish Soviet citizens, to move to Israel, which I'm totally for. I mean, I'm glad that they got out. I'm glad that they got out of the Soviet Union and made it to Israel. That's great. But they took our secrets and gave them to our main enemy, our really only global enemy. What?
Yeah.
So here's the picture that's emerging, ladies and gentlemen. The American policy is that Israel can do whatever the hell it wants. They can assassinate sitting presidents. They can steal our secrets and hand it to the enemy. They can steal our technology. They can blackmail our politicians and businessmen. They can protect those who rape our children. They can murder Palestinian children. They can steal land. They can blackmail sitting presidents like they did with Clinton. They can do deals, not just with the Soviet Union. They can do deals with Adolf Hitler and his Nazi party ahead of establishing themselves as a nation, as the Zionist group literally did with the Habara Agreement. Don't you dare ask questions about that, as we're all being called Nazis, strangely, by Zionists. So long as they say, at the end of all of that we did it to protect the Jewish state. That is effectively the American government policy. And I want you to know something else. They're laughing at you. They are laughing at you. Whether you're a Democrat, whether you're a Republican, whether you're independent, you are the end of a ha-ha joke. And that's how it felt, by the way, when yesterday we were discussing all of these things. We were discussing this sort of onion of deception, all of these layers that are happening, and in this moment recognizing that this infiltration is not just in the White House. It seems like they're showing their hand in more obvious ways. The deception is being revealed. Places that we didn't even expect it, we're now recognizing, like in Christian churches. In case you missed this headline, the IRS, the state, has now decided that pastors can stump for politicians. Okay, this is a headline. The IRS says churches can now endorse political candidates. Now, why does that matter? Let me explain this to you. Churches do not have to pay taxes. They are 501c3. And so since 1954, there was a provision in the tax code that was called the Johnson Amendment that says that churches and other not-for-profit organizations, all of them, because you're not paying taxes, you will lose your tax-exempt status if you participate in political campaigning, because that's a conflict of interest, right? There's a conflict of interest. And suddenly you get this group of Christians, national religious broadcasters, and several churches. They decide to sue the IRS over this rule, saying, no, actually that infringes on our First Amendment rights, our freedom of speech rights. And so just last week, the IRS came back in a court ruling and said, yeah, actually, you can, in good faith, if you speak out to your congregants through your customary channels of communication on matters of faith in connection with the religious service, then that's totally fine. That passes. That flies. As long as you do it through the lens of a religious faith. Okay? Well, why don't we just get rid of the whole rule for all 501c3s? Why can't all charities then just stump for politicians? And of course, this is because they're going to let money fly to these pastors more openly, more in your face. Nah, nah, boo-boo, you can't touch us. And the IRS is now saying that these religious institutions are really just engaging in what's a family discussion, right? This is just a family speaking about these matters of faith, and it does not actually run afoul of the Johnson Amendment whatsoever. We know what this is about. Like I said, because we covered this on the show last week, Operation Mocking Pastor, suddenly for Israel. The churches, and I think probably not just now, but maybe always, have been infiltrated. And I want to show you this, by the way, because we should have showed you more of this clip. This is an hour-long sermon. We are reducing this to 3 minutes. But it's important to listen to this pastor. His name is Pastor Meter. He's from Oregon. Because I want you to realize what they are referring to that they're saying is not a problem anymore because you're speaking like a family. And Pastor Meter is about to give a quote-unquote sermon. And of course, it's going to be a biblical sermon. So I have my Bible. This is actually, I got a Bible from like 1880 because I'm going to follow along. It's going to be biblical, okay? Pastor Meter.
We've taken our classic chicken sandwich to the next level with juicier, crispier, tastier chicken, crunchier pickle.
It's going to be biblical, okay? Pastor Meter, take it away.
Well, let's get to it. Romans chapter 2 is where we're going to begin. one of the things that's happening right now with, speaking of the Iranian
Yes, he's done with that. No more Bible
bombings
talk.
that happened the last few weeks and what have you, and Israel and the Iranian proxies and the wars and all that stuff, it's caused a pattern of questions to come in concerning Israel and the Jewish people. Anti-Semitism is raging around the world. That's just a fancy word for hatred toward the Jewish people. The proxies of Iran have been bombing Israel every day for the past 30 years. Last time I was in Israel, 30 rockets supplied by Iran
30.
came across from the Gaza Strip into Israel. While I was there, 4,000 rockets flew over the border into Israel while I was there.
4,000.
So the problem is people don't know their Bibles very well. And they don't know the nuances about the Jews. Who are the Jews? Who is Israel? That confusion was modeled very beautifully in a train wreck of a discussion between Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz, the senator.
Is the nation God is referring to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes.
Okay, this is a train wreck, and here's what you have. You have a Catholic in Tucker Carlson, who Catholics don't really know their Bible for the most part, and that's not even really encouraged to be a Bible student in Catholicism. Let the priest do all that stuff. You just love the Lord and go to church and Mass and stuff like that. But Tucker's asking some legitimate questions, and it is typical of the Catholic worldview. And maybe you're familiar with Candace Owens. Candace was someone 3-4 years ago I was so impressed by. Smart, articulate, generally, has a more conservative worldview. But she has gone off the rails. She is a full-blown anti-Semitic, Jew-hating person. And her theology is a part of that. She has gone off the rails on things about, well, she would say, Pastor Brett at 8th Creek, I'm demonic. She said that because she said these church pastors that are dispensationalists and they read the Schofield Bible. She, along with a bunch of other theologians, like this guy from Big and Rich, one minute he's singing about feeding beer to your horse and your girlfriend. The next minute he's talking about his theology about you guys that believe in the rapture of the church and the pre-trib dispensational teaching. And John Schofield, John Rich is talking about the Schofield Bible, that is a horrible version of the Bible. Where did he get that propaganda? Well, it came really from this guy. Maybe you've not heard of Ian Carroll. He's a conspiracy theorist. Joe Rogan likes to put him on.
In the early 1900s, right around when the Federal Reserve was founded and the Balfour Declaration happened, right at that exact same time, the Rothschild family hired this dude, this pastor in the Deep South. He made a new version of the Bible called the Schofield Bible.
I can't even begin to comment how much of a nincompoop this person really is. I'm praying for him because he needs to get some brains. This is horrifying. Everything that he said there was totally false. Just total made up, weird propaganda.
I can't make that up. By the way, it goes on for an hour. Let me tell you, you do not need to bring your Bible to what Pastor Meters, they put together a presentation. As you see, he tells so many lies. I mean, just at the beginning there, I was in Israel, 30 rockets, 40 rockets, 4,000 rockets, 4 million rockets just came in. It's just amazing. He tells us Tucker Carlson is a Catholic. Tucker Carlson is definitively not a Catholic. I never called this man a demon. I don't know this man. John Rich is certainly not getting his ideas from Ian Carroll. What are we talking about? And of course, he doesn't even attempt to debunk a single word that any of us have said. I'm showing this to you guys because you have to wake up now, okay? I hope you're waking up in the same way that I have woken up as to what is really going on, because once you realize what's going on, you don't need anybody to clue you in anymore. There's like a bigger picture that's happening here. And like I said, that to me feels like we're being mocked. He's not even trying in that clip. He's not even trying for an hour to be anything else other than an arm of the Israeli government. And I have to tell you that in feeling this way, in feeling like we're being laughed at, I felt that strongly when in response to all of this chaos, Trump tweets out a video, okay? Teeing up here, people are upset about Epstein, we're upset, we think that he's wanting us to make Israel great again, we're looking for some direction, we're looking for him to show that that's not true. We're looking for him to stand up to a pedophile, stand up to the state of Israel on this point at least. Have they infiltrated our government? And instead he tweets out this video, a video, and I am not kidding, that ends with paid for by the Jewish coalition. On a day that we are angry about Epstein, the Mossad potential cover-up here, someone on his team was like, okay, drop the video so that they know how much we don't care. Here's the actual video that they dropped.
Bold, decisive, leadership with a purpose. President Trump's strike all Iran's nuclear weapons facilities leave the world safer. For decades, Iran has waged war on America, even plotting to assassinate President Trump. Their goal, death to America, destruction of Israel, terror. Only President Trump had the courage to stop them. President Trump, peacemaker.
I just want to get out of this Will Ferrell movie that we're in. Like we're clearly in a Will Ferrell movie. I'm actually going to show you a clip of what all of this is looking like to me. But this is a big LOL. And you have to ask the question, why is Trump doing this? Anybody that's not telling you this is not okay, any person that's trying to convince you that this is all normal, so he's playing 4D chess. You know, I don't play 4D chess, okay? I don't play 4D chess. We elected you for a reason. That reason was not to make Israel great. The reason was definitively not to turn the other cheek when it comes to pedophilia. And to the extent that you are going to try to play some psychological jujitsu to convince us that we turned our back on you, like you people who are calling this out and saying it's wrong, you are betraying Trump. You've turned your back. No. I have always been right here on the topic of pedophilia. We cannot meet. We are not on the same side. If you cannot take a stance against something this disgusting and despicable and demonic and satanic as the violation of children, as a part of a sophisticated blackmail network that was being clearly run and operated by Israel and the Mossad, then you and I are not on the same team. In fact, we maybe never were on the same team. Maybe we were never on the same team. And I want to be clear because a lot of times I get taken out of context. People go, oh, Candace is now regretting her. I am recognizing in this a uniparty. It feels very much like we are being like they've infiltrated Trump one way or the other. Maybe he's just watching Fox News. Maybe he's not definitively not sending out his own tweets, and he doesn't realize how upset his base is. And we're getting to a point here that everyone has to take a stance. Okay, everyone has to take a stance here because this is getting sick and it's getting twisted. And I want to be clear: this is not me saying I wish I was a Democrat. This is me saying this is a uniparty, and it feels like Trump is just supposed to keep us calm. Just like, oh, it's fine because Trump is doing it and you were behind Trump, and so you can't say anything, you can't defy Trump, or you're gonna get a lecture about betrayal. And I don't really care about these lectures about betrayal. And there's a lot more that I want to say here, and I want to show some other clips that are going around, and I'm going to do that in just a moment. First, I want to throw it to a couple of our sponsors. GNO Land is one of them. You would think in a world where your data's the way, because now that you've watched Pastor Meter at Oregon, and by the way, like I said, we were getting so many people saying, my pastor did this, my pastor did this. And I watched that, and I felt that it was indistinguishable from Ricky Bobby in Talladega Nights. Like pretending that we're doing a prayer here, but maybe you're just kind of saying I want to win and kind of using God to get there. Let's roll that clip.
You know something I love almost as much as I love America? It's a great deal. Also novelty socks.
In God to get there. Let's roll that clip.
Dear tiny infant Jesus.
Hey, you know, sweetie, Jesus did grow up. You don't always have to call him baby. It's a bit odd and off-putting to pray to a baby.
Well, look, I like the Christmas Jesus best, and I'm saying grace. When you say grace, you can say it to grown-up Jesus or teenage Jesus or bearded Jesus or whoever you want.
You know what I want? I want you to do this grace good so that God will let us win tomorrow.
Dear tiny Jesus, your golden fleece diapers with your tiny little fat balled up fist pawing.
He was a man. He had a beard.
Look, I like the baby version the best. Do you hear me? I win the races and I get the money.
Ricky, finish the damn grace.
I like to picture Jesus in a tuxedo t-shirt because it says like, I want to be formal, but I'm here to party too. Because I like to party, so I like my Jesus to party.
I like to picture Jesus as a ninja fighting off evil samurai.
I like to think of Jesus like with giant eagle's wings and singing lead vocals for Leonard Skinner with like an angel band. And I'm in the front row and I'm hammered drunk.
Hey, Cal, why don't you just shut up?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Dear 8 pound, 6 ounce, newborn infant Jesus. Don't even know a word yet. Just a little infant, so cuddly, but still omnipotent. We just thank you for all the races I've won and the $21.2 million. Woo! 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 Ow! Love that money that I have accrued over this past season. Also due to a binding endorsement contract that stipulates I mention Powerade at each grace. I just want to say the Powerade is delicious and it cools you off on a hot summer day. And we look forward.
And that's the vast majority of the bets that Americans are making today because it's fun. But my point around the fun is that the gambling addicts are the only people who enable your fun. And if you're actually any good at this, you'll get banned. It's a totally unfair marketplace.
How can they? Well, that's totally. Vegas is the same way.
Vegas is the same way of how they back off people who are good at card counting. That's where the custom, what was legacy granted into the sports gambling houses comes from. Regulators don't care about any of this, and legislators. Why? Because they're getting filthy rich revenues off of this from the state. But my contention is if you look at the social cost of every single state where sports gambling has been legalized, we've seen an increase in bankruptcy, particularly young men. We've seen a rise in domestic violence, intimate partner violence, largely when bets lose. So a man bet will lose and he'll take it out on his wife or the kids that are in the house. It's horrible. We've seen an actually statistically significant rise, almost directly as a result of sports gambling. We are watching the social costs of our brother or cousin or whatever go bankrupt or lose hundreds of dollars, get normalized into this environment of taking like insane risks, which you don't even really understand. It's getting enmeshed. If you go to any bar in America during a sports game, you'll find somebody there with their phone. And if you're talking to them, they've got money on every play of the game. It'll be like, oh, I had $20 that he would, throw a touchdown in the very first quarter. Soon they're rolling out products which make it so that you can bet like every single play of the game. And they're doing it live, so you can do it there all on your phone. I mean, that's basically, to me, that's an emblem of where we have become, what we have become as a country. We use the smartphone as an addictive platform to enable one of the worst vices that we've always recognized in American history. And my solution is simple as, okay, it's not fair that Nevada had sports gambling. Let's just make it in person. We have to introduce friction.